welcome to the first edition of the Draft Countdown podcast. I am your co-host, Brian Bosarge, at Deep Fried Draft on Twitter, and my co-host joining me now is Shane P. Hallam. Shane, we are 245 days, 22 hours, 59 minutes, and 26 seconds away from the 2022 NFL Draft.
Coming up fast, right? So it feels like a long way away, but it'll be here before you know it. And I'm definitely happy and excited to have launched this with you, and excited to get it checked out, man.
Yeah, man, we've been live now for a little over 2 days, and a lot of content out there. I mean, we've got all of our position rankings for 2022. You've got rankings for 2023, 2024. You've got a mock draft up 7 rounds already for 2022. A 7-round mock draft for 2023 as well, and a 3-round mock draft for 2024. Ain't going to be too many other NFL draft websites out there with that kind of content right from the get-go. Plus, we've got a lot of other good stuff out there already. So everybody, after this is over, go to draftcountdown.com and check all that out. But Shane, we wouldn't be in this position right now having the Draft Countdown podcast without this man we're going to bring in. He is the OG himself, and he is the owner of draftcountdown.com. He is Scott Wright. Scott, welcome in.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Scott, let's just go ahead and tell everybody about a little bit about the history of Draft Countdown. When did it start? Why did it start? And how are we where we are today?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide where to begin. I became a fan of the NFL Draft in 1993 as a Notre Dame football fan. They had a bunch of top prospects in that draft. I think they had 5 or 6 guys go in the top 50 overall. So that's how I got into the NFL Draft. And then later on, in the late 90s, I knew I was going to go to college for sports journalism, and I loved the draft. So I thought, hey, this is a perfect mix. The internet was kind of just coming into the public consciousness, and I was fortunate to have a high school teacher who taught us HTML, which, I mean, back in 1997, I mean, that was practically unheard of. So I have thanked him personally for that, for kind of giving me a leg up. And I started on an AOL.com address, and I was one of the first NFL draft websites out there, along with Rob Rang, Boomer's NFL draft site back in the day, Rob McCartney, Rob Scouting, for the people who go back to those late 90s draft websites. But that's how it started, just as a place where I could practice writing, getting ready to go to college, and kind of put my mock drafts out there. And throughout college, I kept it going kind of as a hobby in the evenings. And by the time I graduated from college, it had gotten popular enough to the point where I thought I was going to try to do it full time. So that started in spring of 2003. And I did it for 20 years, 2 full decades, pretty much. When you count when I started it, over 2 decades when you count when I started in high school. And anybody who knows me knows how much I love the NFL Draft. And it was going to take a pretty special opportunity to have me do anything else, and it just so happened that came along. It's a startup company called NextGem. I had an opportunity. I'm a co-founder. I'm a head of marketing and community. You'll hear more about us this fall. But the gist of it is we're bringing some innovation to the trading card industry, which of course is very hot right now. And I was one of those kids setting up at card shows back in the early 90s, even before I was an NFL draft fan. So this is just an amazing opportunity, and I'm excited to show everybody what we've been working on. But I'll always be a fan of the NFL draft, of course, and I'm just living a charmed life. I've been able to make a living covering the NFL draft and sports cards, the 2 great loves of my life. So I just couldn't be more excited about everything that's going on. And I couldn't be more excited to have you guys taking over Draft Countdown. I've known you guys for a long time, and not only are you great guys, but I really think you're going to carry on the website in the tradition in which it was founded, and that is of a true draftnik. When I started it, I didn't have any aspirations with it. I just loved the draft and wanted to kind of write to talk about it. And I think you guys kind of approach it that way first as well. So I don't think I could have picked 2 better guys to do it. And I love the way you started. I enjoy reading your content myself. It's a little bit surreal to see a link on Twitter and not know it was going to be there for the first time. But it's fun too, and I enjoy reading it. So thank you guys, and I know you guys are going to do awesome with it.
No, thank you, Scott. You and I cut up on this podcast for a couple years there on Draft Countdown, and you helped me kind of get my start in this industry too. And now, this opportunity to take it to another level. I think we're here to make you proud and bring Draft Countdown back, to its heyday. I think we can do that. There was a period of kind of a big saturation in the market in the NFL draft, and I feel like recently it's fallen back a little bit. People are kind of getting away from it. So I'm really excited for this, and glad to have you on. Glad to start the podcast back up. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I'm with Shane here. I mean, I think I met you through Shane down at the Senior Bowl, sharing a Grapico about a decade ago, maybe not that long ago, maybe 6-7 years ago. And but I've always followed your site. I found it through. There was this oddball, like maybe a GeoCities site called Miguel's Draft Links, and your site was one of the ones linked there. And I was like, okay, this is my kind of place. But it's awesome being there now, and I can't wait to keep bringing all the quality content that me and Shane are gonna bring to everybody this year.
Yeah, and you're not going to get rid of me completely. Hopefully, every once in a while, the guys will let me come back and maybe write an article, chime in on a podcast, or make some far less informed hot takes when it comes to the draft. So I'm like I said, I'm always a draft neck at heart. So it's never goodbye to the draft world. It's just kind of a little bit of a see you later. So even though I've lost my fastball a little bit on the draft right now in exchange for a fastball on trading cards and Panini America and Fanatics and things like that, I'll always love the draft and follow it.
Scott, I'll have you know we had our week 1 game draft today, and Shane passed on Notre Dame and Florida State. I'm just going to throw that out there to you. He passed.
Brian's my new favorite now. The other day, Shane was my favorite because he had Kyle Hamilton ranked higher, so he was my favorite. Now Brian takes over.
Look, I want to give Brian an opportunity to be able to rank Kyle Hamilton higher. See, that was the goal.
Well, Scott, we've taken up enough time your evening today. We'll have you back on again real soon. We'll probably talk more Notre Dame the next time we bring you back on. How about that?
I'll be ready for it, and I'd love to come on absolutely anytime. And congratulations, guys! I'm excited to see what comes next. And again, thank you for everything you're doing. You're going to do amazing.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
That was Scott Wright, the still owner of DraftCountdown.com, but no longer active in the day-to-day operation. That's now me and Shane. And speaking of that, Shane. What do you think? What are your expectations to bring to the readers of DraftCountdown.com?
I kind of like Scott. Like, I don't have a formal football background. I tried out for my freshman high school football team and dropped every pass, and promptly was cut. So that's not necessarily what I'll be bringing. But I can outwork. And that's kind of my thing. Like, I really like to go in depth, and I've been doing this now since 2004 is when I started writing. So I think I have experience. I've learned a lot, and like I said, what I like to do personally is throw what I believe out there and get that feedback and continue improving the process. That's why I have a 7-round mock draft. For 2022, like. You're not going to find that many places. It's not going to be great, but that's kind of a step to take. And so I really want to get things that you can't get anywhere else. And, that's why even, through the work I do on fantasy football, I do the Devy Marketplace podcast with Kane Fassell, which you were on this week, Brian. They'll be coming out pretty soon. So I've watched high school film of players, and that's what I feel like I can bring to the table, especially is you're going to find some different things. And, I think this is we can bring this back to being the NFL draft site that, the fans knew and loved. a couple years ago for sure.
Absolutely. I agree 100% there with that. I don't think we're going to beat people over the head with, advanced analytics or, anything like that. I think it's going to be no nonsense. This is the NFL draft analysis that, call it, the working man is looking for, I think is what we're going to give the people. And but yeah, I like you. I'll probably follow the NFL draft as long, if not long, maybe longer than Scott has. I mean, I've watched my first NFL draft in 1990. I haven't missed a pick on television since. And I've probably actively done mock drafts in high school, for the 96, 97, 98 draft. I didn't know what I was doing, or anything like that. But I had the benefit of the Senior Bowl at being in my hometown of Mobile. I've been to, I went to my first Senior Bowl game in 1987. So the NFL draft has kind of like always been here for me. And that's kind of where my passion started with that. But week 0 coming up in college football this week, Shane. 7 games on the schedule this week in the week 0 for college football. We're gonna cover 4 of them for everybody. We're 2 apiece, me and you, and we'll start with one of your games first here. It's Nebraska and Illinois, 12 noon Central Time. All these times will be Central because that's the time zone that I live in, and I wrote the Chirons here. So on Big Fox there, Nebraska and Illinois. Who are some of the guys that people may know about, and guys people are going to know about after this game?
So this week 0, not a great week for college football. It's not exactly busting at the seams with high-end NFL draft prospects. Nebraska, Illinois has, I think, a wealth of guys that are, are decent. There's some draftable players here for 2022, but I don't think you're going to get any high-end studs out of this game. And, I think one thing that, as we do this podcast, we'll kind of learn, like, this is a defensive-heavy draft, and I think this is a defensive-heavy game for NFL draft prospects. My favorite probably is Cam Taylor-Britt, the corner, senior corner from Nebraska. Big guy, 215. Definitely some games last year. He's a stiff player, but a physical player. So I think he's maybe the one here that has a shot at the top 100. I do think Illinois has some good defensive talent as well. Owen Carney, the edge player, is someone that uses some brute force. So I think he's intriguing. And I'd even say the center Doug Kramer from Illinois is a player that I have in kind of the draftable range. And then I think the Nebraska offense is probably something to look at. Adrian Martinez feels like he's been around for 20 years. He feels like he's been in college football forever. I don't think he's draftable. I don't think he's very good. But, when you have a running quarterback at his size, maybe he has a shot. And then they have some tight ends, Austin Allen, Travis Vogelek. I like Samori Torrey, who transferred from Montana, the wide receiver, to Nebraska. I like him a decent amount. So I don't think you're going to get anyone to jump off the page here, but those are kind of my highlights there. And I think what we're doing with these games, Brian, I think is kind of exciting too. Like, I don't think there's many sites that write up, game notes and watching games and in the upcoming week release kind of what they saw on film. So I think that's going to be something unique as well. We were talking about before. So I hope people are excited for that, because I'm excited to try it out. And Nebraska and Illinois maybe wouldn't be my pick of the litter to try out, but I'll take a little Big Ten football for sure.
What do you got? You got to crawl before you can walk. Is the saying there? So we got to get work the kinks out here in week 0 before we start hitting the big games next week. My first game is this doozy over on CBS Sports Network at 1, UConn and Fresno State. I think the best player in this game, without a doubt, is Ronnie Rivers, the running back from Fresno State. I think he's going to be your prototypical change of pace back. He's 5'9", 195, but he catches the ball really well. and very elusive in the open field. I really liked what I saw from Ronnie Rivers last year. I am intrigued by their offensive tackle, number 72, Dante Bull. If for no other reason, he's 6'7", 326, and his name is Dante Bull. And I saw, I want to say it was Thor Nystrom brought him up maybe last week or something, or a couple of weeks ago. And then you added him to the watch list, or maybe he was on the Senior Bowl watch list. I'm not sure. But he's definitely a guy I'm looking forward to seeing, as well as Ryan Van Denmark, the offensive tackle from UConn. Not somebody I studied last year, but I heard his name mentioned as a potential draft prospect a year ago. So anxious to get my first look at him. And then my next coupling here is Hawaii and UCLA. And I don't mind their quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, UCLA's QB there. I think he's not overly going to be the best quarterback prospect in the world, but I like his traits. And I think he's got potential. I don't think he's a draftable quarterback, at least not right now, but I think he's a guy that, could be a camp arm. And I know you may have something to say about safety Quentin Lake from UCLA, son of legendary Pittsburgh Steeler Carnell Lake.
I love Carnell Lake. I had his rookie card. I probably still have it somewhere in my house. I was a big Carnell Lake fan. So, the bloodlines are always intriguing. And I think Quentin Lake last season, played pretty well. I think he definitely is an instinctual safety. And plays a little closer to the line, kind of like his dad did. And then the run game really is where he made his money. That was the Steelers defense back in the day. So being in Pittsburgh, yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see Quentin Lake. I'm excited to I think you're going to get a good game here. I think Hawaii UCLA is going to be a fun game for you. Yeah,
I think so too. Anybody on Hawaii that jumps out to you that I really need to focus on?
No, like Calvin Turner, the running back for Hawaii, is a good college player, but I wouldn't say he's a great a great NFL prospect or talent. I think their hope is probably their corner duo, Cortez Davis and Cortez Davis I think is the one that's eligible this year, but he's small. I don't know. I don't think Hawaii's going to have anyone we're talking about. The UCLA offense will be a lot more fun.
You chose Southern Utah at San Jose State as your second game here. San Jose State's definitely the prize, I would imagine, of the six players we have on our watch list, and one of them is seventh-year senior, sixth-year the Van Wilder of collegiate quarterbacks, Nick Starkel. Talk to me about Nick Starkel.
Well, look, I wanted to watch this game for a couple reasons. I think Nick Starkel actually has a little bit of intrigue for me, just because of how long he's been around college football. He's a guy that can move in the pocket a little bit and has some size, right? But if you've heard that name, he's been I think he started Texas A&M and played a little bit there, went to Arkansas, didn't really get much playing time there. And so, had some success. I imagine he'll have some success for San Jose State because they have a good offense. Derek Deese Jr., their tight end, once again, not a great maybe NFL prospect, but I think he's a good college player that could get drafted off of production. And then I like their edge players. Probably my favorite of San Jose State, Cade Hall, I think has a draftable chance. But really, the reason I picked this game was not for San Jose State. The reason I picked this game was for Southern Utah because their offensive tackle Braxton Jones, I think, is a potential top 100 pick in the NFL draft. I think he's going to be one of, if not the best, small school player in this draft.
Wasn't one of the guys Jim Nagy was focusing on maybe a week or so ago?
Yeah, I think he came up maybe a week and a half ago, with the Senior Bowl. Like, they've been doing some small school spotlights of guys that could make the Senior Bowl roster. So that's really intriguing. And I watched some of him kind of in prep. I mean, the dude is massive. His arms are huge. You know, he moves pretty fluidly for his size, and he knows how to use those long arms. Like, you see him just dominate some of the conference competition. So I really want to see him hopefully up against Cade Hall, because I think it'd be a really good matchup, and that's probably what I'll focus that one on for sure.
My favorite player in this game is, and he's one of my favorite tight ends in this draft class, is Derek Deese Jr. from San Jose State. He's one of the more athletic, I think, pass catchers in this class. And I think maybe a little undersized at 6'4", 235. Maybe needs to add a little weight, but I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL.
Yeah, look, like I said, I'm not sure if he's, to me, draftable yet, but I want to watch some more of him. He's definitely productive, and if he could stay healthy, I think that'll go a long way. So, yeah, I'm excited for that for sure. You know, we were on. I mentioned the Debbie Marketplace podcast. We did a first round mock, and Matt Vadavinos took a UCLA offensive tackle, Sean Ryan, in the first round, which is not on our list. So you're gonna have to watch.
Is he on there now?
I think I added him after that. I was like, okay, we got to watch him. Like, I haven't watched him.
Guy from Rutgers that
Avery Young, like
that he had as well. That I'm like, he's not on our list either.
He
so
is.
I'm like,
he is. He's in my top 10.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's in my top 10 corners. So
sorry, I must have missed that.
I'm in on Avery Young, but Sean Ryan I had not watched. So you'll have to keep an eye if he, assuming he's playing.
His name is on there now. If he wasn't, and I'll be watching him this Saturday. While we got a little bit more time before we get out of here, what's your take on some of these rookies from the 2021 class so far? Give us a couple hot takes from the first couple of weeks of preseason.
Oh, I think this rookie class is going to perform this year. Like, I think the receivers are going to be really good again, right? And I think we knew that. But I released today. I continued Scott's old series. He started in 2008, his dream draft, and I took Rashad Bateman in the first round. I can only take one receiver. That injury, I think he could be Odell Beckham. Right, he could be the Odell Beckham of this year. That's my hot take, if you want. Come back from injury a couple weeks in and just dominate if the Ravens pass a little bit more. But I think Elijah Moore is going to kill it. Looks like Zach Wilson is going to be pretty good. Like, I think the Jets' offense is going to zoom a little bit. I'm a big fan of Rondale Moore, and Terrace Marshall is my number 2 receiver in the class. So I think for Carolina, really well. I think these rookie receivers, just like last year, I don't think 2022 is going to trend quite that way. I don't think it's going to be quite as good as these last 2 years were. So, as a fantasy guy, I'm excited about the receivers for sure.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how shocked were you today when Urban Meyer named Trevor Lawrence to be the starting quarterback for the Jaguars?
Well, look, he's just trying to keep Gardner Minshew around. Just give him finally Gardner Minshew.
He's scared he's going to enter the transfer portal. He was trying to keep him.
Look, finally Gardner Minshew could take a number 2. He said he wasn't until he until he lost the job. But hey, like Urban Meyer did that, right? How many college teams named their college starter today? Half of them we knew who was going to be as well. That seems like such a college thing to do, right? To keep people around. It's like, you don't have to do that in the NFL, man. It's all good.
Speaking of Jacksonville and rookies, some bad news this week. Travis Etienne, Liz Frank injury, surgery, out for the year. He was my RB1 in the draft over Najee Harris last year, so I'm a little disappointed to see that we won't get to see him perform as a rookie.
Mine too. I was interested to see him play that joker role in Urban Meyer's offense, play some slot like Curtis Samuel did at Ohio State. I think Etienne would have been very good there. And that Liz Frank injury with surgery is really tough to come back from successfully. Not like your career's over, but the first year back usually is not super productive. Usually there's a dip in production. So I'm definitely a little bit scared for for Etienne, and hopefully he can come back. But my boy James Robinson gets another shot. Was in my top 10 running backs 2 years ago and made it happen. So I'll take that. I'm excited to see him hopefully do well again.
Other rookie injuries of note, Joseph Osai, the Bengals' third-round pick, who had a monster first preseason game against Tampa Bay, then gets hurt, out for the year. And then Jamar Chase has had the granite hands, the first couple of weeks, but I'm not worried about him. But sucks about Osai and the Bengals, and I think that was going to be a big piece for them. But with going back to ETN, that just is another log on the fire of don't draft running backs in round one.
For sure. And I think it also is, hey, come out early. Like if you're a running back, if you're a receiver, and you can go in the top 2-3 rounds. I think if you can go in the top 100, declare. It's really worth it. And it's not like why he got hurt, right? But now it's another year that he has to wait. And then there's another year of not being as productive as he could have been. And it would have been nice to start that clock sooner. Guys can do what they want, like do what's going to make you happy. But I really do think if you have the talent to declare, you can do that. So it sucks. But I'm intrigued to see some of the defensive rookies too. I think linebacker, Micah Parsons looks just like everyone knew he could be on the field. Zaven Collins, I think, has looked really good. So I'm definitely intrigued with some of these rookie linebackers as well, and how they're and Jamin Davis and that defense. That's another fun position this rookie class I'm excited about.
So we'll close on this. Let's go with some predictions here as our last thing here. Offensive and defensive rookie of the year from this draft class. We'll start with offense.
Ooh, offensive rookie of the year. So I'm going to go out on a little bit of a, I don't know if it is a limb, but what I feel is a limb. And I'm going to say that Zach Wilson wins offensive rookie of the year. That was my prediction in July. I think he has the opportunity. I think he has a system that he knows he's going to be more comfortable than, say, Trevor Lawrence. I think Justin Fields and Trey Lance won't start for a while. I think Najee Harris will have a shot. He's going to get the ball, but I think Zach Wilson, it seems like, these top 10, 15, taking quarterbacks, as the top 12, like the guy that everyone kind of leaves for dead, the guy that people don't like, seems to be the one that does the best in year one. So I think Zach Wilson's going to surprise some people.
I feel like the safe money is Najee Harris, just because he's going to get the carries, he's going to get the TDs, and he's going to be on a team that, in theory, should be a contender at least till late in the season, maybe, in theory. So I'll say Najee Harris is the offensive rookie of the year. Trevor Lawrence second, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I almost feel like Trevor Lawrence is set up like nothing he does is going to be good enough, right? Like he could have the best numbers of the quarterbacks and still not get rookie of the year just because those expectations are high. So that might be a little bit of a, not quite a blessing to be maybe the best prospect ever at quarterback.
Right. Defensive rookie of the year, I think I'll go with Jamin Davis from the Washington football team there. I feel like his athletic profile there and the defense that's in front of him, the defensive line especially, it's going to be pretty free for him to roam around and make a lot of plays, either in the passing game and the running game. I think sets up well for Jamin Davis to put up them stats and get that rookie of the year.
Yeah, just have like incredible tackle numbers. 150, 60, 70 tackles could happen. So yeah, I'll go elsewhere. I think Micah Parsons can win it. I think he'll be fairly high profile on the Cowboys. He's a fairly high profile pick. So I think he'll have a nice shot to win that. I'll say kind of my number two, I think, is since Scott was on, I think we got to drop at least one Notre Dame name today, and that's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the Browns. And Browns have a really good defense too. I think he could clean up a lot, falling for some of those injury concerns that might be enough. So if Cleveland's really good, I think he could be a little bit of a sleeper pick there.
Not bad, not bad. All right, Shane, we're gonna cut it off there. Coming up this week, we'll have our game notes for each game that we're watching, plus we've got some other stuff in the hopper to come out along the week as well. And then next week's where it's going to start getting grindy, as we've got. I want to say we've got eight or so games apiece for week 1 next week. Your big game is Alabama and Miami, where we had 44 players on our watch list in the Alabama-Miami game that you're going to be watching. I'll be watching Clemson and Georgia that week as well. 45 players on our watch list in that game. So week 1 and going forward is where it's going to get hot and heavy here for Draft Countdown.
Yeah, so I mean, you can almost expect to have a game once we get in the season, almost every day coming out. That following week, and if you want to dive into these prospects, we're not going to do like player profiles, right? I mean, we're going to watch the games, share what we see in the games, how it changes over time, how it might differ between me and Brian, and you'll be able to look all those up on Draft Countdown. That's why we got nice handy search bar at the top, and shout out to Nate at Writer Design for the design of the site too. I think is going to help people really navigate it. I honestly, I think it's modern, but I think it still holds some of that charm from back in the day, and that's exactly what I know I wanted from it. So hopefully it'll be easy to navigate and find the players that you're looking to learn about. Absolutely.
Well, that's going to do it for episode 1 here of the relaunch of the Draft Countdown podcast. I'm here with my co-host Shane Hallam and Brian Bosarge saying good night until next week. Same time, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays.